Well, hello, hello, hello. All right, you guys. Hey, hey, I'm live at 5. 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 Come on inside of the StreamYard room. Yep, we winding the live at 5. Damn. And I don't want you to miss not a one. Okay, so if you are celebrating Juneteenth today, happy Juneteenth. Hopefully you did something productive, enjoyed your federal holiday for those offices that were closed. And for those of you who are working, I don't want to say shame on you, but it's all right. Hopefully you still did something productive, right? I love you. Just continue to embrace our rights, our freedom. Do something that you know would move your dreams and your goals forward. Stop waiting on permission. Stop waiting for someone to say that it is okay. Like everything has been done far enough, right? Or enough has been done for you to get started. Use what is in your hands. That's my message for you. All of you who are celebrating Juneteenth, go make some stuff happen. Hey, Sissy, thank you so much for my red dress. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being here. And she said happy Juneteenth to everyone. Okay, so let's get into this conversation. Stop being a mean girl. Stop being a mean girl. Honor your words. Honor your words. Let's get into this conversation. My name is Denise Merriweather. I am the CEO and founder of Queenpreneurs Jumpstart Program. It is the #1 training environment for women in the world looking to leverage their knowledge, ignite their passion, build a highly profitable business by doing what? Building your courage, your confidence, and your competence to accept, believe, and commit to what it is God has called you to do. That is why we are in this game we call life, is to execute what it is that God has placed within our hearts, our spirits, our souls to execute while we are here on this earth. And do get this, you are in fact running out of time every now and again. I just like to drop that in your spirit. For some of us, we are in the middle. I'm going to say I'm almost in the middle. You know, I'm going to make 100 with ease like my dad. And for some of us, we're closer to the end than the beginning, but we really don't know how long we have. Like none of us can pinpoint the day, the time, the hour that we will leave here. But I want you to get busy doing what you know that you were designed, purpose to do. And if you don't know that, then be in conversation with me. Just reach out. Let's set up a discovery call. Let's see if I can coach you to a place where you need to be. Hey, Penny, thank you so much for being here today. So listen, let's have this conversation about stop being a mean girl, honoring your word, right? This is our last month, and this whole year is all about, you know, honoring yourself. And in order for you to do that, there's some development that needs to happen. There's some things that you need to do in order to be able to honor who you are, regardless of what space you're in. And we've been dealing with honoring your word. So I talked to you all about the concept that if you listen to scripture and you go back to the beginning, right, in Genesis, and you listen to how God created things, how did he create things? How did he even create world, right? It was word. Jesus, in fact, came as word, right? As man. So word came first. Put it in the chat. Word came first, and world and everything else came after. Even when you see the creations in your space, from desk to cameras to ring lights, I'm just naming what I see. Heaters, my clothes, my shirts, all started from a thought with words, right? Because there's no thoughts without words. There's no thoughts without words, right? It wouldn't make sense if you didn't have them. But you get that word came first, and word is what actually creates worlds. Put that in the chat. Word is what actually creates world. So I'm having this conversation with you today about stop being a mean girl. And why do I say that? Well, sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we react or act outside of who we really want to be. I'm not going to say outside of character, because however you show up and however you occur for someone else is just that, right? Is what's so. You might not have intended it. You might not have meant to hurt their feelings or said something to set them off, but you did it, and you got to be responsible for that, right? You probably didn't mean it, but you could clean it up. You can always clean it up. But let's talk about this being a mean girl. a couple of weeks ago, I think I had expressed to you guys or shared here on the platform that there was a service guy that came to my house unannounced, and he used his key, right? He was using his key to open the door, right? Like he was using his key to turn the lock while I was in here without me inviting him to come in. And I stopped him by asking him, who do you have an appointment with? Right. And that stopped him. And he started to read his paperwork and he said, John Merriweather. I'm like, well, John ain't here, so you don't have an appointment with him. And what I'm going to need you to do is take your key out the door and walk away. Right. And it escalated really quickly. I mean, it escalated really, really quickly. It went from me asking those questions to me telling him that if he don't get his key out the door, I'm going to bash his head in with this golf club. And that's the nice version. That was not what I said, but that's the nice version, right? Straight up being a mean girl. Put it in the chat. Stop being a mean girl. And when I think back, there were so many other ways that I could have handled the situation that would not have come off of me being erratic or upset or disrespectful or volatile or whatever, angry Black woman, whatever the stereotypes or stereotypical conversations that may be in the community. But I'm going to tell you why that happened. And for those of you who may understand why that happened, go ahead and put it inside the chat. Put it inside the chat. Why do you think I reacted the way that I did, right? I would say, in short, I was afraid. Right? I was scared. I was terrified. And do you know I could have said those words? Do you know that, hey, Nunu, Tiffany, how you doing? So happy that you are here. Do you know that I could have said those words? That I could have actually told the gentleman, look, yeah, fear. Okay, LaShawn, you got it. Right. I was afraid. And my sister was on the phone with me while this was happening. So I was afraid. And the way that I reacted was that I felt like I needed to protect myself, right? Fear, shock. That's right. You got that right. Hijack. That's yeah. I just felt like I could have died. I felt like I was about to be attacked. I felt like I just felt helpless. I felt helpless too, right? So everything that I was saying was just trying to get him to go away, right? I wanted him to go away. And I could have easily just said, sir, I'm afraid. You're scaring me. I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to need you to take that out of the door. Take your key out the door, and you need to walk away and reschedule because you can't come in here, right? There's so many different things, but I reacted the way that I reacted. And I promise you it was real mean. But I promise you also I was ready to use the golf club if I needed to. But the whole reason why that happened was because I was afraid. I was experiencing fear. I was upset. I was startled. I was going through all these different emotions that I could have expressed, but I didn't. And the reason why I didn't was because I wanted him to be just as afraid of me as I was of him if he came through the door. Does that make sense? So I created a space for him to feel, or hopefully to feel, what I felt on the other side of the door. But here's the things that's actually happening when you're being a mean girl or mean person, upset, saying things that you really don't want to say, is that you are actually doing these things to survive. Put it in the chat. I am doing this in order to survive, So what do I mean? Well, the reason why you acting out is because you want to make sure at the end of the conversation, at the end of the encounter, that you have survived it. And a lot of us are also operating from past experiences. I think I've also shared this with you guys here. When I was growing up, I was bullied a lot, right? And then it got to the point where then I started fighting everybody. So I have this persona, I have this act, I have this personality, this characteristic to be hard. Like, don't mess with me. I don't take no mess. I am direct. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. And when I tell you what I'm thinking, I can also back it up, right? But that's not coming from who I really am, who I want people to experience me as. No, that is in order to survive. Do you get that? That is to protect myself. So every situation that I'm in, when I'm operating from the old man, my old self, the past, I am standing in the place of, in order to survive, I got to protect myself. And when you think back to all of the upsets, breakdowns, bad conversations, arguments that you have, what was actually happening? Like, just think back this week. If you had a confrontation with someone, You was upset. They was upset. You said some things that you shouldn't have said, or they said some things that they shouldn't have said. What was happening? If you could really just go back to why you reacted the way that you reacted, what were you actually doing? And it may not have been surviving. Maybe it was something else, but find whatever word it is for you. What were you doing? And I'm going to share some things that I want you to be aware of when you're in these conversations with people, when you find yourself getting your buttons pushed, or, Penny is here in this space. Now, Penny can actually help you disappear your upset. And Penny, if you want to drop any links for people to reach out to you, if they are experiencing upset, she can help you with your upset. Like, she can help you get through it. She got exercises. She's a coach. She can help you get through your upset. And Penny, if you want to share anything to help someone reach out to you to deal with their upset, please feel free to do that, right? So listen, what was it that was actually happening? Was you operating from the past? Were you trying not to be taken advantage of? Right. So I was operating from, so Sean said, operating from the past, trying not to be taken advantage of. Remember, for me, I was operating from the past. Yo, you're not about to bully me. And if you come through this door, I'm gonna bust you in your head. Right. Period. .com. And I mean it. Right. So what was it? What was it for you? Like, what caused it? What happened? What did it? And maybe, and just think back, I'm just going to give you some things that was happening. Maybe you were either like me, maybe you were protecting yourself, or you was defending yourself. Like that could be a thing. Like, maybe that's what you was doing. Or maybe you were just justifying or trying to explain something. Like, you trying to get your point across. You want to be heard. We talk about reframing and recreating people and how powerful that could be, but we don't practice that when we mad. We don't practice that when we're not conscious or intentional that, hey, I can really just get this person or allow this person to feel heard, and this could like calm the situation down. But when we're in the heat of the moment trying to defend ourselves or protect ourselves, or maybe you're trying to fix something or change something, or maybe you are sometimes you could just be resisting something, right? Penny and I was in a conversation, and she offered some information. She was like, it's nothing for you to resist, nothing for you to fight. It's nothing for you to, think about to defend, right? She just was like, look, I'm going to offer this. This is what I'm seeing. Don't try to defend it. Just try it on. Just look at it. Just look and see, right? There's no need to defend it. This is just what I'm seeing. Right. And so what is it? And when you were in that situation of being a mean girl, were you defending something? Were you protecting something? Maybe you were trying to force something. I know that happened this past weekend. We were backstage, and there were some interviews that we wanted to do for our video recording. And it just got to the point where I was like, look, what we're not going to do is force it. We're not going to force getting something done that we want it done. We're going to be okay with how it's happening right now. What's so? We're not breaking down cameras in the front. We're not bringing it to the back. We're not doing none of that. Why? Because the plan was for this to be executed on the blue carpet out there. That's where all the equipment is. And guess what? We really want the people that's attending the concert to be able to do interviews. We can do hours later. We can do hours post recording. We can do it. We can make it. People don't even know that this is happening. But what we're not going to do, we're not going to force it. We're not going to try to be in control, right? Control of what's happening, what's so right now. And what's so is we don't have no interviewers. The people that's supposed to be interviewing, they're not here. So what we're going to do, interview ourselves? We're going to make up the questions. We're going to ask ourselves the question, or we're going to respond as if somebody asked us a question? No. We're just going to chill and relax and be okay with how things are happening right now. And right now, we ain't doing interviews, and we're going to leave the camera and the equipment there, right? Or maybe sometimes we're trying to convince and prove something. Like, stop trying to convince people of things you already know. Like, sometimes people are not ready to receive information that you're giving them. First of all, you need to ask permission. Put it in the chat. Before you start running your mouth, offering stuff to people that they may not want to hear, you should be asking for permission, right? Ask them first, can you offer whatever it is that you want to offer? because that could potentially prevent you from being a mean girl and them too. But ask permission, because everybody don't want to hear what you guys say. Sometimes when I'm on the phone with my sister, she's like, nope, I don't want you coaching. I just want you listening. Like, no coaching. This ain't the time for coaching. This is the time for listening. Right? So what is it? And then a couple of days ago, remember I talked about how dangerous it is when we withhold communication, when we don't tell people what it is that how we feel, because silence could just be just as destructive as the words that you're not paying attention to that's coming out your mouth. Because remember, words are creative power. Speak those things that be not as though they were. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. So if you don't be mindful of what it is that you are creating, you could create something that you don't want to experience. But when you experience it, just know it's something that you created. That's in all situations. Like, you got to take ownership of what's coming your way and how you're handling it, because your response is just as important as what's coming at you. Do you get that? So if someone is saying something disrespectful, or what you deem to be disrespectful, because again, whatever it is, you're defining it, you're making it up, because some of the stuff that people say to you, you don't have a problem with because of the relationship, but then the same thing could be said to you by somebody you don't know, and you probably giving them the finger, or you going off, or you being a mean girl. Do you get that? Right? You get to define these conversations moment by moment, the reaction moment by moment, the offense moment by moment. What you get, you gain, you receive moment by moment. If you care about it, moment by moment. Is it true or false? Moment by moment. Remember, we got all this programming happening, and while we're in communication, we're judging, we're determining if it's right or wrong. We're saying if we like it or we don't like it, right? We're doing all these things automated. That this is part of our automated programming, but you can override it. Put it in the chat. I can override my programming. Put it in the chat. I can so override my programming. So the next time you find yourself in a heated conversation, I need you to chill out for just 1 second, and I want you to get, where is it coming from? Why your buttons being pushed? Why you mad? Why, whatever it is, you need to stop and check it out and see. And if you need help, then look, get with Penny. Penny done dropped this information inside the chat. She helped people disappear upsets every Thursday from 6 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you could go and get your upsets dealt with. Okay? Because you do have the power. You do have control over somebody. And you know who that somebody is? It's yourself. But we tend to try to control other people. And here's the thing. It's not even bad to want to be effective in your communication, right? That's what I'm training. I'm training myself to be so powerful in my communication that one conversation with me will change your life forever. Like, it will never, ever be the same. That's how powerful I want my language and my conversation to be. So it's going to require me to put the work in, to train myself to say things that would be edifying to people, or at least challenging them for the better. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where you're having a heated conversation, ask yourself, what is it I'm trying to survive from? What is it that I'm protecting myself from? What am I trying to have control over, or am I trying to force something? Am I trying to prevent some pain, some upset, some breakdown from happening? And just be present. Real conversation is happening in the moment. It's not happening in your head. And if you're sitting there thinking about what you're going to say and respond, you're not present to the conversation. If you can't recreate the person talking words to you, you're not present to the conversation. You're busy trying to figure out what you're going to say, or you're judging what it is that they're saying. I was watching this documentary last night on Netflix, and one of the participants, or the person that was on the screen, was saying how she admired one of the doctors that she worked with, because she was able to empty out every word in her head, every response out of her head, and actually listen to what it was that she was trying to say. Don't you hate when people trying to finish your sentence before you finish it, before you say it, as if they knew what you were going to say? Well, she said that never happened with her, because she had the ability to empty out all the words in the conversation in her head and actually listen and be present to what's being said to her in the moment. So look, strengthen your ability to be a better listener, and stop being a mean girl. Stop going off on people. Stop giving people a piece of your mind. Stop saying it because that's just who you are. Nope, be somebody different. Develop yourself to be nice. Develop yourself to be pleasant and peaceful, and a person that can communicate well, who speak English and not the English that causes upset, and not bad words, right? But words that edify and lift people up. Just stop being mean and get that the reason why you're being mean and you're upset is something that happened to you in the past that you're trying to survive from. So stop it and just be straight. Hey, what you're saying right now is making me uncomfortable. Or hey, what you're saying right now is hurting my feelings. Or hey, what you're saying right now is causing me to become upset. Can we take a break? Can we come back to it? It's me, it's not you. And I just want to make sure I'm able to hear you from a place that's going to help us both get what we want out of this conversation, right? Because sometimes if you're not in the right space, the other person's not in the right space and in the right spirit, this could be a bad conversation. And sometimes relationships are destroyed because of the words that you use. Do you get that? And then LaShawn, no, you didn't say she coaches anyway. Hush your mouth, girl. Hush your mouth. I just read what I had up there on the screen. But look, I love you guys. Look, stop being a mean girl. Watch what you're saying. Get that a lot of your upset breakdowns is just based on some past experience that you had, that you're bringing into the moment. It's not really what they're saying. And if it is, and if it's triggering, or if it is pressing a hot button, stop the conversation. Express that. You ain't kidding. You mean it. I love you. Stop in the moment. Check yourself and see like what's really upsetting me right now. Right? Don't allow people to control you, but more importantly, just focus on controlling yourself. And if you work on controlling yourself, your language, your words, and stop being mean to people, I promise life could turn around. It could be better. You can have more fruitful relationships than breaking down. She says, sisters. That's right. You see us going at it. Penny, I love her. You know I love her. Look, I love you too, Penny. Thank you so much for being here. It's our last month of Love at 5. If you would like a discovery call, go to my website. My discovery information is there. Go to my Facebook page, Denise Merriweather. I got a pink jacket. Go to my link tree. We can set up a discovery call, have a conversation. Again, if you want to get help with your upsets, Thursday, that's tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The link is inside of the chat. Penny, if you want to drop it again, you can. Look, I love you guys. Have an amazing day. We'll talk on Friday. This month is all about honoring your word. Stop being a mean girl. Put it in the chat. Stop being a mean girl. I love you. Hey, I'm live